2 months.
I know. That's a row.
Oh, I found the application, Ron.
What?
It took me a while to figure out where it was and click on everything, but for the
application.
scholarship
Oh,
thing.
scholarship.
But,
I sent it to you in the email.
yeah, but then I also found
Oh.
it again. Because I kept clicking on the site and it kept saying, site not found, site not found.
Mhm.
It took me a while, but not only do I have the add 3 that I went to, but the fact that I also completed all of the online tutorials for the state. That ought to be pretty good, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I would definitely say so.
Right.
Speaking of that, I did notice that it was not on the Facebook page as an event. Meeting time.
That's probably one of the many duties of Elisa that I was not aware of, and she's on vacation this week. Or else I would have
She's usually really good with that stuff.
went on there and did that.
You know, Mac signed up for, the, planning and zoning. Pilgrim. That's who I was gonna ask to come here.
He is on planning zone. He was elected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just was re-elected or something. You don't like Mac? Sore subject. Am I poking
No,
the bear?
I met him for the first time at the last council meeting.
Yeah, he was
And
signing.
I went up to him and I said, "Hi, I'm your neighbor." And he said, "Oh, really? Do you live on South Wilson Street?" And I said, "No, I live in the neighborhood." "Oh, really? What do you do?" And I said,
He's pretty cool though. Mac's pretty cool.
But
He's down there.
I felt like he was giving me the 3rd degree.
He probably was.
I mean, I know
Lawyers
all
can't
about
help
it.
it.
All right,
Yeah.
Mac's pretty cool, man.
When I
I
heard
see him
about-
every morning at
Did he address you as a vendor?
When I told him that I had a law background, he said, "Anybody else in your family?" are
Say,
friends?"
did he ask you when you was arrested?
No, he didn't. But I told him that my dad was a criminal attorney from
Oh.
Northwestern, and that my grandfather, great-grandfather was an attorney. All of a sudden, he just said, "Oh, well, it's nice to put a name to a face." It's not what he made it.
Where's Miss Kim at? She coming?
Wait a minute.
She didn't send an email. Did she?
You may get tomatoes after all.
All right.
Oh,
no.
That was Marie's.
That's
Marie's
right.
is over on there.
Yeah, usually she sends criminals. Although she never, she's coming. Okay.
Rather show up late than be texting her.
Are we on? It is July 16th, 2019, and the Billerica Historical Preservation Commission is now in session. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, you have the agenda in front of you. Do we have an adoption of the move to adopt the agenda?
I move we adopt the agenda.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. The minutes of the last meeting, have you all had a chance to go over them? Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I motion to accept. I'm sorry.
Okay, moved and second to accept the minutes of the meeting in May. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Public comment? Seeing no public comment, we'll go to the next one. Reports of officers, board, and standing committees.
Good evening, Commission. I have the design guidelines for historic districts and sites in front of you. I just passed them out. These are the newest greatest and best and final.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
I just want to say thank you very, very, very much to everyone on the commission, to Sam for vetting it, the department for vetting it, making sure everything is okay. The planning commission also. I sat down with Dr. Mims and with a member of our planning commission as recently as 2 weeks ago now, to make some, I guess we only made like very, very small like formatting changes really to a couple things, and just make sure the planning commission member, John Hannenbach, was comfortable with it. He brought a couple different smaller concerns, and chiefly related to this commission's governing document, but Dr. Mims pretty much explained to him the different powers that this commission has and its formation and why it was formed. And it put a lot of that to rest, and I think it kind of eased his mind a little bit with that. So the council passed it. It was a unanimous vote, so I think they really understood the importance of the document, really, and I know all of you do too. So
Yeah.
now we can review applications again.
Thank you, Ron. I mean, the meeting that we had with the three of us, I thought was very productive. And yeah, John was not really quite sure about how planning and zoning and HPC merged together. And I think after that meeting, he did really understand. And what I was really impressed with is taking a look at the other document that Chris is doing and how there's a juxtaposition between the two of them, really working to make sure that they're all covered.
Yeah.
I think you did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Other than that, like I said, we can review applications once again. The department, I'm gonna have to meet with the permitting specialists for the city and make sure, I already let them know already that we're able to do, to start reviewing again. But I just want to kind of touch base with them exactly about what this document is. But even bigger than that, and I brought it up in our community development staff meeting a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow, that the document's only as good as the enforcement, right? How are we going to enforce this document? So that's something that I need to talk to my director about and see what we can do with code enforcement so that they actually understand it. I think they first need to be educated on it, and then we can start going out into the field and starting to see like what is something that, for example, just as an example, if someone made a change, how would that fall under the document, and what would they do? What is their processes once that happens? So getting that nailed down and buckled down, that's what makes a great historic district.
I really think that if you have not seen this week's copy of the Villa Mica, Danny did a really nice job of explaining what was done and what you did, and I think that's a good thing. The other thing I would like to remind all of you, and myself included, now that we have the final document, make sure that you get rid of the ones in your folder,
Yes.
because there are a lot of substantive changes in them. As I said, I've already gone through every single tutorial in the last 6 months. I think finally finished them that the state of Georgia has online for HPC. And so you might want to take those as well, particularly if you can do them before any of you are going to go to the training, because it's really helpful to know all of it. After the training that we went through is when I realized that I could go through all of those, and they really, really are extensive, and they're very, very good. And besides that, it's free, and you don't have to leave your house.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
So,
Okay.
That's it.
The discussion of the expansion of historical district. I have been in contact with a couple of people who have already done a draft of that. I was told that it would be a good idea to review all of the historic buildings and background, because apparently on the draft, that historical background is in there. But we really do need to be working on it. I am really hopeful that by our next meeting, we will have a copy of that rough draft. Ron will then have a chance to take a look at it as well and work on it so that we can vote on that, because I know that that's a priority for all of us.
Mhm.
You want to remind us why?
Well, because we can't review any applications on the Southern Historic District still, so it's only really where we're sitting that we can review, other than the 10 designated sites that we did earlier this year. So that district is obviously historical. I think it has most of the historic assets to it, so we want to make sure that that's protected.
Add mine in there.
Are there any other reports of officers or anything else?
Just one other thing. The city council did, when I was doing my spiel on these architecture review guidelines, I mentioned to them that the importance of, in answering a question, I mentioned to them the importance of getting some sort of community like buy-in or general understanding and general agreement for expansions of districts. So, it's something that in the department we're just going to have to talk about as far as what we can do, and also with the commission and what we can do to try to get word out about the areas that in the future we're potentially looking at doing some expansion to. And I guess that would include the Southern District, even though we've already kind of been had our hands in the Southern District in the past. So that's something I guess we can kind of all start thinking about. How are we going to get the word out that we want to do that, and how do we get community buy-in? So that's it.
Sorry about the interference. My hearing aids were turned themselves off and then back on again. Not apropos to HPC, but again, a report, because it's not really old business or new business, but for those of you with children or grandchildren or no friends who do, please go to the library next week on Friday and Thursday and Friday. Yeah, Thursday and Friday. Because there will be authors there from adults and teenagers and children's book authors, and book signing on Friday, but panel discussion for anybody who might be interested in learning how to publish a book. It's all there. And me too.
Oh, you're gonna be there. I'm definitely not coming.
Alan,
What?
my books are for toddlers.
Oh, okay. I might be able to read one. Right.
Is there any old-
Is it well
old business?
illustrated?
Hmm?
Is it well illustrated? Pictures?
It's
Okay.
beautifully illustrated.
Any old business?
Mm-mm.
New business? Election of officers for the coming year.
I do have one thing. The Marchman Peachman House by the Happy Valley Church. Marchman. The Marchman Peachman, or Marchman Coleman, that's what it is?
Colin Marchman.
Mac Pilgrim did bring up to me that he tried to buy that place,
Mm-hmm.
and he's wanting to sink like $300,000 to $400,000 in it to make it his office. I don't know if you're aware of that. What kind of stipulations do we have? There's nothing that we can force them into buying, or as far as the historical value of that home. How can he attain that? Is there any force that we can put on them to?
The Historical Society has had a couple of people who were willing to buy it, but they were told that the pastor wanted an exorbitant amount of money, more than what was on there,
Yeah.
because he wanted to make it become a museum. This man who wanted to buy it has all sorts of medical supplies that he thought would be good because they go back to it, and the fact that that upper floor was used as a hospital before the hospital went in for some people, that it would be a really good thing. But apparently the pastor is just refusing to sell it. But no, we don't do that. But
Is there any, so there's no push or shove that can be done to?
no.
They can let that rot to the ground is what they can do, right? Is what I'm getting at. Because that, I mean, it's just a waste. It's a part of Billerica history, and it's probably,
From what we know and from what Ron has even discussed as well, we found out Happy Valley, First Baptist Church gave it to Happy Valley with the idea that they would pay them for it. They defaulted on payments, and so First Baptist Church gave that to them. Then at this point, from what I've been told by several sources, is that the pastor took out a $60,000 or $70,000 loan on the building to make repairs and didn't use it for that. And so if he wants to sell it, he's going to have to take and pay that back. Brandon, we've discussed what would happen with the loan, because the loan is there, whether it falls apart or not. Our obligation is to the exterior of the building. We have designated it as a historical site.
So is that where the line just draws right there? Okay.
Wasn't there a discussion of code enforcement on demolition by neglect of these sites that, I'm trying to remember what the discussion on that was.
I think there was a general discussion of all properties in town that are historic that could potentially, if there is a will by an owner to just neglect a property, their ability to get a demo permit would have to come in front of the Historic Preservation Commission. That's a certificate of appropriateness. That's actually in our architectural review guidelines.
Mhm.
So,
Before it would be demoed, we would have, but there again, neglect, letting it rot to the ground, is that, can it be like an eyesore for the city to?
I think that's a code enforcement really issue
So
at that
I don't think we
point.
have a demolition by neglect chapter in the UDC. I can double check and get that for us and get you an answer on that.
I'm not trying to twist their arm or anything, I just want to know what if anything, I hate to see that house just ruined, and it's going to ruins.
Unfortunately, that's what's happened to the Hart House, and that was the
Same
same
thing, yeah.
situation, yeah.
Okay.
But that would be the kind of thing that would keep a site that's been designated a historic structure by the Historic Preservation Committee from just rotting to the ground would be demolition by neglect chapter or section that was passed in the Unified Development Code.
We need to
Okay.
come up with something, to kind of protect the properties.
Well, this is a great time to talk about this because the new zoning ordinance is being written now. So
Yeah.
maybe
we
that's
need to go
something
before.
that we should have in there.
I mean,
don't
could you
know
go
if
to
we
like
should or shouldn't.
Savannah, New Orleans, all these older towns? I'm not saying we're like that at all. Or even downtown Carrollton, they're a little bit more strict on that type of. Then I think some of the stuff that we're doing is just falling by the wayside, so to speak, because we are the historical commission. What good are we if we're not going to be, trying at least to vote
If there's
out
nothing if we're not enforcing.
anything at all? I see the preservation of the town, and I like to see it being beautiful too.
Mhm.
Good old houses, businesses, and stuff like that. So if we're letting this go to the dump, and this is going to go to the dump, and that's going to go, what good are we to protect that?
I don't know that we're letting them go. And
No,
we
I
have done a
think
lot,
we're-
because as a commission, we have done a lot to preserve several of them,
Yeah.
and just recently, many of them. We are also looking at the south side of Main Street, and the next thing that we want to do, which is going to take months, is
Right.
to declare historical districts, such as Fullerville and that.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a big deal, and it's going to be entailing calling on everybody who would be affected. So that could take, and it has taken.
Has anyone talked to the owner there?
A year or two.
At Happy Valley?
Yeah.
Talk,
I don't know if anyone on the commission has talked to him.
I know Mac made him an
personally. I have
offer, but
not.
it was a very low-ball offer.
Yeah.
So to answer some questions that we have here about that ordinance, about the current version of the Unified Development Code and historic preservation, there is a chapter F2, and I'd encourage you to read that when you have the opportunity. And I will refrain from reading the entirety of it.
Sure.
But if you go to F2, it's page 196 through 197 under Article 5. So it's Article 5 F2. There's an entire section on failure to provide ordinary maintenance or repair of sites that have been and structures that have been deemed historic. So there is something we have
There
in
is.
place. It's not the most robust code section. I've seen more robust. I've seen sections of code that have an entire demolition by neglect section, but we do have something in place that can give us some sort of place to start if somebody has a site that they're not maintaining.
Right.
So it would go to the code enforcement first and then come back to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is that something that would be under Ron's jurisdiction? To
Say
notify
again?
code enforcement?
No. But what I can do, as a courtesy, I can advise them of that particular section and my supervisor really, and Bobby, it's really Bobby that would have to be advised of that, so.
But you said the codes are currently being rewritten, so if we look over this and we find that perhaps we need to add to it or more work needs to be done on that section.
Yes. Please just send me an email, and
Okay.
or send Chris Montesinos in my department an email, and we can add it right on in.
Okay.
Whatever it is.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Sam.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Okay, any other old business? We go back to any new business, the election of officers. We have a nomination for chair.
Nominate Dr. Mims.
Second.
Third, fourth, fifth.
Any other nominations?
Move for a vote.
Move for a vote? I guess it's unanimous. Thank you. I appreciate your confidence in me.
See, and you were all
Of course.
worried.
Okay, election for a vice chair, a nomination.
Renee? She's been here longer than all of us, I think. It would be a prime.
Second.
I'd second that.
Okay. Move to second. Renee to be vice chair. All in favor?
You don't have a say in this at all.
Okay.
Unanimous.
Congratulations. Okay. Any other new business? No. Okay. Move to adjourn?
Second.
And we'll see you all in August.
Oops. Good. New members,
Application.
applications.
I would say, we table
Okay.
the applications, probably.
Well, it's not on the agenda. I just.
Yeah.
An email was sent out.
Yeah.
We're going to table that till.
And I do believe that, I know of two others who supposedly have sent them in, other than the other two that we had, so there should be some more coming in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'll look out for them.
we'll have somebody to look at before then.
All right.
Okay.
Send it your way once we get it.